all hot paper craft.
Hello, I'm Chris from Started Papercraft. So, besides designing and building paper models, I actually also teach, and I teach design. And this term, I actually had the chance to let my students learn Blender, and I actually decided to let them create some animal models. So, as you may know or not, so this is the tiger I have created in Blender, and this is a pig which I actually created in SketchUp. But as you may find out if you look at other videos, you know that I actually recommend Blender to create paper models. And so I let my students learn Blender because they were supposed to learn some 3D software, and Blender is of course the most versatile and useful one. And yeah, so they actually had a pretty hard time because it's really tough to learn 3D software if you haven't done anything before. But they had 4 weeks with 2 half days every week. So, and yeah, unfortunately, it turned out that it was a little bit more difficult than I had thought for them. So they were not able to actually produce the printed and built paper model, but they created some really nice models in Blender, and created this video to let you have a look at what they have achieved.
Okay, so here we have the list of all the models that were created in the course, and I'm going to work my way from the lowest graded one to the highest graded one. This is a sheep, and as you can see, I think it's quite interesting how the low poly ball has been used for creating the body, which looks a little bit fur-like, but the problem is that the other parts don't really fit with it. Yeah, the proportions and everything. This is a cow, and it's a very interesting, very special style. I think the basic idea would have worked well. It's a little bit boxy in some parts. And you can see you can basically have spheres built together to make the head. And then you have texture paint, you have some little mild eyes. Yeah, spots would have been nice. A panda bear. And if you at first look, this panda bear looks really nice, right? So it's very round, very nature-like, yeah. Very round, yeah. Even if we go into the edit mode, yeah. But then here we see the lines. There's something strange here. And the problem with this panda bear is that while it looks really nice, yeah, it looks very round, if you export it to a model, this is what comes out. So you can't even really recognize anymore that this was supposed to be a panda bear. Okay, so this is because it's using modifiers and to make it more round, but those modifiers cannot be exported out as a paper model. So that's something that you really need to pay attention to stick with the very basic functions, because most of the more advanced functions of Blender do not work with paper models. A cute little duck. And yeah, you can see the beak, you can see the little eyes. Again, basically spheres. Even the eyes are spheres. The eyes are also still too detailed. I think they would have been a pain to build if this were ever built. And very basic, but works. But what I don't really understand is why the feet are backward. It seems to me the feet are backward. Here we have some kind of rodent, and well, the tail is a bit short. Maybe this is the furry watermelon. And the low poly style is really nice for the body. The legs don't really seem to fit with it, and yeah, there's a lot of problems here that would cause trouble if it was attempted to build. This is an octopus with a coolie head or sun umbrella or what, and with red eyes and a cute lipstick in the mouth. And actually, this is a very basic, because it's just several spheres put together and then a cone for the coolie head. And yeah, but you know, sometimes something simple can also be nice. And also interesting the texture paint with the bright pink and bright blue. Okay, here we have a cute little dog, standing dog, with a hat, or is that, I don't know, whatever that is. I guess it's a hat, and even some texture paint face. Again, you see it's basically spheres. 3 spheres and modified spheres. So here we have a pig, as you can see, so by the huge snout here. Yeah. Again, you see modified spheres. A lot of modified, those are it's a very interesting style. A bit low poly. But, you know, it's pig and it's pink. Okay, here we have a rabbit. Rabbit with D at the end, as you may know from the computer game Rayman or computer game Raving rabbits, right? So, yeah, and again, he's like basically spheres put together and added the texture paint. It's going to be a little bit difficult if you would build it and you would actually want it to stand on those tiny legs. This is a bear, and you can see the detail, it's nice, the details with the little hands, and you have the eyes. I'm not sure if this is a bear's tail. And you know, the big belly. Again, you can see many spheres put together. Yeah, many spheres put together, modified. Works well enough. Yeah, this is a mouse, and it's kind of a low poly mouse, which is very polygony. But what's really nice about this mouse is actually the texture paint, because it's something like this, you know, a little vampire tooth and happy and pink, yeah, and those dotted lines, blah, blah, blah. And then love on the buttocks. That's really fun. Okay, this is another rabbit. Maybe this one is not with D and it's not quite as raving, but it's also pink and it has this ring, whatever that is for. Basically, once again, a combination of different spheres, with the spheres cut out, with the spheres modified, and then the ring is basically a torus. This is a whale, and at first inspection, this whale looks really detailed and special. I think that I think when it's going to be built, it's going to have really a bit of problems, because you have so many different parts put together here instead of making it more smooth, and so I think it would be not a good build, but as a combination of those elements now, it's quite I think it's quite interesting kind of style. Another little yellow duckling, yeah, and once again, very simple. You have basically several spheres for the mouth, for the beak, for the body, for the tail. Even the wings are basically modified modified spheres. What's really fun here is the little feather or hair, like a hair tuft feather. It was really interesting to see the texture paint for this one. Okay, here we have a koala bear, and again, it's like standing. It's a little bit like a koala teddy bear, maybe, but you can see it's a koala by its distinct ears, which actually have been made of toruses. And yeah, I don't know if he's supposed to have a tail or if the tail was not created yet, or, but anyway, so it's bright blue, and yeah, it would be a nice soft toy. Okay, so this is a tiger, and actually some of the body parts are really well done. The body itself has a bit, you know, the buttocks is rather interesting, but the tail and all the legs are really well done. The head maybe looks a little bit more like a bulldog than like a tiger, but it's still fair enough. And yeah, and then you have the texture paint, of course, with which is let's just call it expressionistic, expressive. There was a lack of time, I guess, but I think this is also interesting. This is also a very different kind of style, so it could also be nice. Then we have a crocodile. And the interesting thing about the crocodile was basically that it had this kind of angled body to recreate the body of a crocodile, and then other parts were also supposed to be angled, like a little bit low poly style. Yeah, and I'm not sure if the mouth area is working so well, but yeah, it's really interesting. You can see at least you can see it's a lizard with a big mouth, and of course maybe some spikes should have been added here. And the belly is yellow. This one is a capybara, or however that is pronounced, and which is basically like a rodent, a very round rodent. I think it's even nude, and it's like this very round, sausage-like body, and I think the body really came out well. The ears, yeah, I mean, probably they also have to be like this round. This is strange. Here you can see there's a corner here. The legs are very basic. It would have been good if they would have been fit better with the body itself, but it's very round and fat. And then we have this rather interesting fox, which is a very cute little head. Yeah. Well, actually, no, the head is not little at all, as you can see compared to the body. This will be tough if you will build this as a model. How can you get it to stand? Another interesting thing is that there's basically no rear of the body because this fox obviously is buried in the sand or whatever with the lower part of this body. Yeah. So this is the huge head fox. It's much more clever than other foxes because his brain is so much bigger compared to his body. This is a ferret. And yeah, the texture paint is very basic, but the eyes are still very cute. And this ferret was actually much more detailed, but it had a lot of detail which was not possible because it had too many surfaces and it was impossible to be built. So I had the student simplify it a lot. And yeah, as you can see, also which doesn't fit well, like the sphere-based head, which is more low poly than the others. So if you have low poly, that's fine, but things should match together. Another panda, and this one has eaten a lot of bamboo, so it has a huge belly, and it will probably just wiggle around if you actually build it. And I think again this is a combination of spheres, but it's really interesting if you look at the structure. You will see that it's a lot of detail with the little hands here, and then the eyes and the holes for the eyes. Yeah, interesting. Okay, so here we have another little rodent, which kind of looks like a hamster, but it could also be a mouse. The Chinese name for it is shu, which could be both a hamster or mouse. And yeah, so he's very serious. Again, based on spheres and a torus. Yeah. A little boxy-like style, but this is at least it's keeping within the style. And then here, of course, you have this thing, which is actually a Chinese coin, an ancient Chinese coin. So this is probably connected to that mouse or rats are considered a symbol of wealth in China. And yeah, so he's guarding his coin very seriously. Right? Yet another panda. And once again, very simple design, but the way the parts go together looks really well. This panda bear, I call it the acid panda, because obviously, judging by his style, he's on the way to an acid house party, right? So, yeah. And yeah, very, very, very basic design and very funky texture. Another rabbit. And this rabbit, as you can see, is all custom built parts. So no. Actually, the tail is a sphere, and yeah. So this is actually very. I don't want to say if it's natural-like, but it's more roundish. It's not so stylized, and it works quite well, I think. The legs are all the same, but if it works, why not? And yeah, and you have this little rabbit. This is the Batman. No, it's a bad man. So interesting subject actually. It was really rather troublesome to align the wings here with the arms, and as you can see, the body and the legs are again modified spheres. Head modified. Actually, all the body is modified spheres, and it's really nice. It could have been really nice. There's also a version with texture paint, but that didn't work, so I wasn't able to show it to you. Another fox, again with a big head, but this time also with a very big tail. And this one was basically very similar to what I call a creek brown fox, which I will introduce to you in another video. You basically have again basic spheres, and then here the ears they were a little bit troublesome, and yeah, but they were fixed to make them more easy to build. Again, not sure how this would hold a balance. And by the way, this is how it looks in pink. There was a texture paint again, but as you can see by the pink color, it has been lost. A goose, and this one is already one of the more advanced models, which is basically built out of mirrored parts. And as you can see, there are, well, actually, the wings are probably based on spheres originally, but you don't really see it anymore. It's all very custom built and quite detailed with a bump here. The texture base is very basic, but this could be a really nice model with a little bit more work. A spotted dog, and this one is again based on spheres. Yeah, so you can see based on spheres. This is very simple, but it goes together quite well. Then you have the texture paint with the spots, and yeah, it's okay. It's nice. This is a cat, and again, it's rather basic. You have a sphere as a head, you have a sphere as a nose, modified spheres as ears and legs, and then the body is also, yeah, probably also everything based on a sphere. But that's a very quick way to do things, and it's a very interesting posture, and yeah, and also this cat kind of reminds me of Krazy Kat from the famous comic strip, so that's always a plus, of course. Krazy Kat. Here we have a seal, and as you can see, the body and the extremities are quite good. Also, although actually if you look closely, you will see that the body and the tail fin are actually two separate parts. And yeah, the head has a little bit some parts which are like will not be working so well. There's two small pieces here. If you were to build it, there was a lot of mess here which didn't come out right when it was exported. But overall, it's nice, and the texture paint is also interesting with the white body and the pink belly, and yeah, the spots. Well, it looks like a heart. Isn't that cute? Okay, so this is the cute white seal, probably a baby still. Another little yellow duck. And this one is very different. It's not standing. This is actually swimming or sitting or whatever. And I think this would probably even swim if you could build it of water resistant stuff. The head is a sphere again. The body is the body is custom built. It's very stylized, but a very, very unique style, I think. I also really like how the feet have been used in the text, have been added in a texture paint with a really nice extra touch. And yeah, overall, generally, yeah, very simple and nice. Oh, and here we have an elephant. And of course, an elephant never forgets. It never forgets the pain under which it was created. Because this had several times do-overs. Again, it's a mirrored body, actually. It's custom body, so you can see that, you know, this is very individual. There's no spheres here. Looks really nice, looks really cute and unique. And also the texture paint, why it's very reduced, very simple. It's really nice touch with the tooth here and the little toenails, or whatever you would call those things on elephants. Now we have a squirrel, and who is hugging a nut, as you can see. And yeah, again, there's a little bit difference because the body is low poly, the other body parts are more thin. That's because, yeah, later I told them to increase the amount of surfaces. And yeah, so as you can see, so this is really cute. Also, again, very unique style. What's with the pentagram on the tail? I have no idea. Yeah, but maybe it's an evil squirrel. I mean, look at those eyes. Ooh. Okay, another panda bear. And this panda bear looks very nice and friendly, waiting for you at the door. And of course, fat bellies are a must for panda bears, as you can see. Again, very basic, simple. Have the basic spheres, basic structure. I love how the eyes are, you know, they don't really have simple, but it works like this. Like in the reduction, it's like it's very, very cute, and lovable. Another cat, and again, this is simple, but it's simple and effective, and there's nothing really which feels like it's out of place here, right? So this is using spheres, modified spheres, but really well done, yeah. And even the texture base is simple but effective. And I don't know, but this cat also seems familiar from some cartoon, but I couldn't figure out what cartoon it is. Okay, here we have a goldfish. And as you can see, the idea was here, of course, that the flat surfaces here will be like flat surface when they are built. But, you know, the student did some really nice work with the texture paint. I really love the texture paint with this, like, expressive watercolor style. I don't even know how she did it. And yeah, the basic structure is very simple, but this would be a really, really lovely model if you would actually finalize it and build it. Once again, look at the paint. I think it's really nicely done. Yet another cat, and look at the face detail. So actually the eyes and the bear and whatever the eyebrows will be built on. I actually let the student make them much more simple, so now they would be probably bearable to be built. And you know, this is not a regular cat because this is actually a cat in a tuxedo. And yeah, so this is another interesting, very different kind of style, you know. And as you can see, we have a lot of this kind of sphere-based cutesy animals, but you know, there's only one in a tuxedo. We had quite a few young chickens, so now actually we have an adult, and this is a quite good depiction of a chicken, actually better than mine, because I don't have any legs and feet and claws, so you have a lot of detail here. Will it stand? Probably not, but it looks good. And of course, again, here you have the flat surfaces, which will be, you know, flat. You will draw the shape on here. It will not be straight round. So that could be really a nice model as well. Although, of course, these are two. There should be two of them, not just one, which I also make a mistake I made with my chicken in the first place. But yeah, very detailed. And yeah, so you have chicken wings, chicken legs. Looks quite accurate. Another wild cat, and so actually this hat was, I'm not sure if this was based on my tiger hat, but anyway, so this is also a little bit boxy, a little bit round, but I think it works well enough. Actually the legs and the tail are not so well as with the tiger we saw earlier, but yeah, but there are also no major problems here. And what's much better on this one is actually the texture paint. So you can see, so this is the texture paint. So this is the kind of cute, not fierce at all. And you have those spots. And another thing is that she actually did it over several times because it kept failing. And yeah, but it's still really nice. Leopardy. This is a crane, and it also looks very much like the cranes look in traditional Chinese painting, including the posture. And then here again we have, as you can see, the wings. So here the wings are already drawn on roughly, which will be flat parts, and then the tail will be rounded flat parts. How this is supposed to stand, I don't know. I was discussing with the students, and she says you can put wire in the legs and then have some heavy thing on the bottom to make it stand. It's a really nice model. Yeah, of course, the execution is a little bit rough here, but this is really a diamond in the rough. So with some proper work, it could be a really nice model as well. Here we have a polar bear, and what I really like about this polar bear is that, you know, it's kind of whitish, brownish, dirtyish, but it also has this wonderful color spots on it. Yeah, I don't know even how this would be exported, but this is a really interesting, creative touch to this polar bear. I think the snout works really well. There's some, I think the legs are not, I think the legs, not the legs, the feet could have been better. But the legs, the body, and I think especially the head is very bear-like. I think it works really well for me. And it has really broad shoulders, right? So this is a very cute, fat, colorful polar bear. So this is a stoat, very similar to the ferret we saw earlier. And yeah, I don't know if they are blue stoats. And again, this was much more detailed before. Yeah, later it was it had added again spheres to quickly finish off. Then I think the body was originally, it was more detailed, but you know, it had to be simplified to, at least in theory, make it be simple enough to be built. We have a little penguin, and doesn't he just look so cute and innocent? With the little beak and the big eyes and a little round body. Okay, again, actually, very basically very simple. You have spheres. This is also modified sphere. More sophisticated are the legs, which yeah, I helped the student to come up with how to create them. Actually, very similar to the chicken we saw earlier. And yeah, so this is a little cutie, right? Ice cold cutie. Then here we have Nemo from Finding Nemo, the little clownfish. And once again, this is an example of how you can very simple do with very simple tools do a really nice model that's really effective. So it's basically, again, it's all of the parts are basically modified globes, modified spheres. And yeah, another reason why this, I mean, this model is very simple, but it works really well. It's really effective and works well. And another reason why this student actually got a very high grade was because she learned the texture painting herself to create a texture paint. And yeah, this is a really nice model. You could have printed and build it, and it would be a nice model to have. This is probably the most fierce model, the most fierce one I have. So this dragon, which is like maybe from some computer game, or at least it looks like something, or maybe Pokemon or whatever. And again, you know, you have many different parts. You have many globes, many spheres here. You have spheres and toruses used to create, but a lot of custom-made stuff here, and a bit low poly style. But you have a lot of detail. You have the claws, you have the wings with the little spikes, you have whatever those things are. They aren't really antlers. So there's a lot of detail here, and it's red and fierce, and yeah. And I guess it probably also will not stand. Yeah, but this is but what it does stand, it stands out among those models, because it's a very special style, and it has all those details. Here is a shark, and so the basic shape of the shark is really nice. Also, this shark is a really he likes to eat, obviously, because he has a fat belly. Of course, the fins, you know, shouldn't be so thick, but that's a style choice, of course. And what's really also nice is the mouth. With this would have been the teeth, actually. Yeah, so the shark in the sea. And I think what's also really accurate is like the section. I mean, this the basic body shape of the shark is really accurate. I mean, this how he looks from the front. Just need to have the cunning, angry eyes. Another model with nice details. So another sheep. So here you have the basic body is basically a sphere, as are the legs and the tail. But of course, the horns were a little bit more difficult to do, right? So here we have the horns. Then it's like and funny choice, because remember the first sheep that we saw? So it also used this kind of same kind of element to create a feeling of more furry stuff, and I think it works quite well. And then you have the ears and the eyes, and it's a yeah, again, this could be a really nice model if you would actually build it. Another fox, and this time it's desert fox. That's why it has those huge ears. And So this one is, again, if you look at the basic shape, it feels really well done. There's some small details which is not that great. You see here in the back of the legs, and then here the neck. It would have been better if the necks would have been just one part, yeah. But anyway, the way everything is shaped, the way the head is shaped, the way the legs are shaped, the tail is very simple. But the way that, and the great thing is that this student basically managed to do it this well without any help. And that's another reason why she got a really good grade. And yeah, with texture paint, it would have been also like a very excellent model. Then we have a turtle, and I really like the rim here of the of the shell. And yeah, and the legs, especially the hind legs, are a little bit basic. The head works fine enough. Again, it's a little bit low poly style. But the texture paint was also one of the more better texture paints, where you actually have some detail with different levels here, with the basic turtle pattern on it, and yeah, and the cute, confused face, and it's a really lovely turtle. This is a little bee, and I don't know what's with the ring around her neck. And you can see the body is quite custom made, and then the upper head is again a sphere, and the ring is a torus. The arms are again spheres, and then you have the wings here, of course, which would later have more round shapes. It's just the flat surfaces now to stand in to know where the edge is going to be, where the part is going to be put. And this student was actually the one who was the quickest, and who later went on to help many of her classmates, and which is also why she got a good grade. But it's also, you know, it's also a very cute model here. Although I doubt this bee could actually fly with such a huge body and such tiny wings. But hey, bumblebees can. And another goose. And it's actually very similar to the goose we saw before. Although here, like the bulge on the head has been added as a sphere rather than being built separately. And actually, the other goose is much more. The body is much more more detailed actually. But you know, here you also have the legs, and again, I doubt this would stand if you would build it. Don't know how to make this stand, but this actually, the two gooses together would also be a nice combination. Now we are getting to the 3 highest graded models, and yeah, this is a deer, and the body is custom built. It's with mirrored parts, also same as the head, and then you have the antlers and the ears, and yeah, and the texture paint is also quite nice, and yeah, so this is a lovely little deer, and it would be a really nice model to be built. And here we have a dinosaur, and yeah, don't know if it's a T-Rex or a raptor or something. And once again, this student basically worked on this model very independently, practically without any help. And for that, the result is already one of the best. But because she did it all by herself, that makes it, of course, even more impressive. And also the basic body structure works well, and the texture paint is also detailed enough. And it's yeah, again, it would again, I'm not sure if this would stand, but yeah, and maybe it should have claws here for the forelegs, but it's was really well done. And the final one, so this is a snail, and again, this student got very little help from me. I just made some suggestions on, you know, how to organize the shell, the house of the snail, and how to do the lower side. And she was very quick in putting this together, and for that, it's the shape is really extremely well done, and it would be a really amazing model. And yeah, but the texture may not be what you expect. Okay, so let's have a look at the texture paint. Okay. So this is the texture, and it says on the side, it says 我是一只蜗牛, which means I am a snail. Okay, and then you have the cute face, and you have the lovely eyes here. Yeah, okay, so this is a little bit rough, right? But I think, you know, the idea, the creativity, and also the house is looking so beautiful with this color tones. So actually, so based on the model shape, this was clearly the best one. And then I had this amazing creativity here. Of course, it cannot be published like this. But, you know, if you do this a little bit more well, if you do this a little bit more clean, that would be really, really nice. And it would be really special and a really unusual model for anyone to have. And yeah, so those were all the models.
Okay, so now you have seen what is possible to do in Blender if you only try to get into it a little bit. So consider this an advertisement for my playlist about Blender basics for paper modelers. And it's not so, actually, yeah, they did have a hard time, but I think the results are really nice. At least some of them are really great. Like, it's amazing what they were able to come up with after only such a short time. And yeah, I really hope you can take this as an inspiration to, if you ever thought about creating paper models, so maybe now is a good time to get started. And that's all for this time. Thank you for watching.